Hi, my name is Tanya and welcome to my small backyard vegetable garden here in central Victoria. I am a first-time sower of these black nebula carrots, and I thought I loved the cosmic purple carrots more than anything, but I have to tell you, pulling these beautiful carrots out is quite special. They remind me so much of beetroot when you pull beetroot out, but obviously a completely different shape. I can't wait to taste these. You know, when these are this purple, that there is going to be so much goodness in them. Now the weather has changed, the eggplant has completely slowed down, so I will be pulling those out. No sign of parsnips just yet, but I have a beetroot that has germinated. These are the strawberries that I took out of the big tub. They seem pretty happy just hanging out here in this pot with coir over them. I moved this trough up here so that I could rescue this poor Rapini and get that planted in there. They really should have been planted out a couple of weeks ago. I have 3 new varieties of calendula that I sowed into seed snails months ago that desperately need to go out. They have been rained on multiple times and stayed far too damp in the hessian seed snails. So that is my priority at the moment, is to find homes for these different varieties. Hopefully, even if just a couple of plants out of each one survives, then I know I am going to have plenty of seed for them to follow on self-seeding. I'm just spreading out some very damp mushroom compost. It's just been sitting in this tub left over from my last delivery. I've already planted out one variety down the other end of these apples where I had the dahlias last summer. I'm going to plant out this pygmy buff here around this tank. They are looking very sad, but hopefully once they get in the ground, they will pick up a bit. Our fast change to quite wintry days and nights has come as a shock, not only to us, but the seedlings that I had growing. It's quite a shock to them after such a warm autumn going straight into winter. I have noticed plenty of the orange flash calendula have self-seeded into the garden bed down the other end. Hopefully that will just be an ongoing thing, and if there is too many plants, then they are easily pulled out. Now that I have the lemon balm back in some sort of order along this edge, I'm going to get some compost along here also. They could do with a top dress, and also I'm going to plant this touch of red buff calendula and get the rest of these walking onions in. And I have some leftover hardneck garlic and some walking onions that are just sprouting. I'm going to get those in also, just in different spots around this wall edge. Here where I have the mushroom compost piled was the spot that I had wanted to plant my sunflowers last summer, but due to the lemon balm taking over this corner, there really was no room left for the sunflowers. So I'm hoping to plant them there this spring, summer, and I think they'll be a nice distraction from the compost bins. I already have plenty of leeks self-seeding around the lemon tree, and I think adding a few more alliums to this corner will make a nice display. I have so many of these walking onions, so dotting them here, there, and everywhere in the garden might be the answer rather than having one large patch of them. I planted a fair few of them into toilet rolls and they took off really well. Having them in these toilet rolls makes it extremely easy to plant them. Many years ago, I used to be able to plant into this like a vegetable garden, but now my neighbor's trees are so large that there is a lot of roots here directly under the canopy. So it makes sense to have my compost bins here. Even though it is an inconvenience to what I can plant here, I would not pass up the shade that their trees gives my garden. It just means there is a lot of trial and error as to what I plant here. I'm very happy to be getting these in the ground also. They are looking a little waterlogged, especially because we have rain heading our way. We are supposed to have days and days of rain, but we will see if that eventuates. I think I might plant them over here around the pineapple sage. The lemon balm already is looking quite happy with that rain we've had. And here are my self-sown leeks. Just going to plant some hardneck garlic in around here and they can all jostle for space. I kept these bulbs aside from the hardneck garlic I grew last year. Some I put into seed snails and is planted into the garden beds. So this is more for visuals. Will be nice to see the flowers of the hardneck garlic. I often feel a set of steps here at this corner would make life so much easier. My lemons are ripening up and they look absolutely gorgeous. I do have every year something that nibbles on them, so I have to keep an eye out for that and pick them a bit earlier than what I would rather. That is what I do most years. They have quite a sweet taste to them. They're not a bitter lemon, so probably quite enjoyable for the wildlife. I have 8 coppers all seeded up with lots of different greens growing in them. Some succession planted with spinach. Very happy to see so much Mizuna on its way. This trough has sat empty since the birds ate off my dahlia seedlings, so making sure I get plenty of top dress in there. I really should have had a bit more potting mix to put into this trough, but I have absolutely none left after potting up all the capsicums. I've never grown Rapini before, but anything to do with brassicas I absolutely love, and I certainly hadn't planned on planting it into this trough. I had thought that I would be planting these out into my garden beds, but there is no room in any of the garden beds at the moment, and due to my ongoing cat visiting problem, I am having to rethink my whole middle arch. It was only a temporary solution, but I am completely rethinking all of that area, which means that I have not planted anything in there as yet. This time last year, I would have had peas and things already in the ground, but I'm holding off. I am hoping to get 2 more raised beds in there. I'm not sure if they're going to be ready to be planting anything in them before spring, but I do not want to be dealing with this ongoing cat problem. But for now, I will get this planted up into the trough, and at least I will get to have a taste and see if I enjoy it, ready for maybe sowing again next year. Seeing they are quite leggy, I might get a bit of potting mix in around them when I stock up on potting mix. I think this one is ready for the compost bin. They are looking pretty sad at the moment, but hopefully now there's a bit more soil around them, they will pick up. I have 1 brassica in the big tub that I potted up with these mixed, what I think are Brussels sprouts, that is looking a little runty, so I'm going to swap it out for a larger plant and maybe a few extras. All these brassicas that have been in the seed snails and getting rained on seem to be coping a lot better with the damper hessian, so I have been able to hang on to them a little longer. These 3 are going to be planted into this tub. That's the one that was looking a bit underwhelming, so I'll put this one in its place. Everything here seems to look pretty happy, so I'm going to push the boundaries and add this new one plus a couple more. Even if I am just harvesting them for the leaves and nothing else eventuates, I will be happy. It will come a time where I won't be able to squeeze in any more of my Brassica seedlings, and I'll just compost the rest of the seedlings I have in seed snails. I have a couple of spots in one of the garden beds. A couple of cauliflowers got chewed off, so I will have to replace those ones. But unless I can find some more tubs and containers or pots to plant up any more of the brassicas, I might be at my limit. Just trimming off those lower leaves that are sitting around the straw. It seems my cat visitor is taking a liking to this area over here. That is why I was keen to get this all planted up, and this soil here is quite easily dug in, so I'm going to try and put some barriers in to discourage any visiting. I've got these little frames that I used last year to keep the birds from digging in the garden beds, and I'm just going to place them over. It's just a mesh. I think just using them as a barrier and then putting these tubs around might be, hopefully, enough to discourage any visiting. This bit of soil here, well, we have to step in to get to the compost bins, but it is quite hard to dig in. There's a lot of roots from the box hedge there, so I don't think that there will be a problem. But I was pruning the hedge here a couple of days ago, and I've walked past this and walked past this, but I'm going to take the extra time this late in the evening so I can walk inside and this is done. It's just a matter of picking it up and getting it into something so it is off the lawn, and then I can move on with more trimming. And I have made a decision to cut down the fruit trees along this fence between Mrs. Possum and the ongoing codling moth problems. I would rather just plant that area up with probably flowering plants. But I am so happy to have had another productive hour here in the garden late in the afternoon, just ticking off some jobs. I'm taking these Rebecchias down because I want to pop them on soon so I can get them ready to overwinter.